Hi, I'm Father Bryan Brooks. I'm the pastor of the Church of St. Benedict in Broken Arrow, Oklahoma. I'm here to give a film review. I've not done these for a while, but trying to get back to that. And usually I give a review of movies that may not have an explicit religious theme, but those themes are there nonetheless. However, this is going to be a different review of a movie, one that is very upfront in its religious message, and that is 1943's The Song of Bernadette. It's a biographical drama based on the 1941 novel of the same name by Franz Werfel. It tells us the story of Saint Bernadette Soubirous, who experienced 18 visions of the Blessed Virgin Mary from February to July of 1858. Today, the shrine at Lourdes is one of the most popular places of pilgrimage and is seen as a site of prayer and of healing, both physical and spiritual. Now, The Song of Bernadette, it won, I believe, 5 Academy Awards. It included Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Actress, and that actress was Jennifer Jones, who plays Bernadette. And as a reminder that all roads lead through Oklahoma, Jones was born Phyllis Isley in Tulsa. She's a graduate of Montecasino School when it was an all-girls high school. She took the name Jennifer Jones when she got into the acting career. And The Song of Bernadette was, I believe, only her 3rd film of a career that would span 5 decades. The author of the original novel, Franz Werfel, was from Austria, and actually he was Jewish. When he was fleeing, along with his wife, Nazi persecution in France, they wound up taking refuge in the city of Lourdes, and they're at the shrine. They're given protection for several weeks before they can manage to get into Spain and eventually to the United States. And it's there that he learned the story about Bernadette and the appearances of Mary to her. And he writes this book in 1941 basically as an act of gratitude for his safety from Nazi persecution. It proves to be an immediate bestseller and then is made into a film not long after its publication. Now, the film opens with the quote, "For those who believe in God, no explanation is needed. For those who do not believe, no explanation will suffice." So, and then the film immediately moves into the events of February 11th, 1858, the dates of the first of the visions that Bernadette received from the Virgin Mary. Now, at this point in the story, Bernadette is 14 years old. Her family lives in grinding poverty. She's semi-literate and is considered, although innocent, what people would then at the time would say dim-witted. And so once again, we see that God chooses those that the world considers to be weak and unimportant to be vehicles of grace in revealing to us the truth. In the scriptures, I mean, we see this repeated. That we see this with David, Mary and Joseph, Peter, and Andrew, and those other fishermen from Galilee. They're amongst the first of the apostles. So then the film moves into how Bernadette's experience is first met with skepticism and mockery by her family, her neighbors, by church leaders, and downright hostility by government officials. But over time, the miracles that are attributed to the visions lead Lourdes to be considered a place of pilgrimage and accepted as a site of pilgrimage and veneration. So on February the 11th, on the church's calendar, we celebrate the memorial of Our Lady of Lourdes for this reason. Now, what to look for? What stood out for me? One, basically, the main thing is the relentlessness of God's grace. Because the initial response to Bernadette's experience is basically wishing to just all go away. Her family faces ridicule in the community. Nobody believes her. And she's not saying she's seen the Virgin Mary. She says, at this particular place, which actually was the town dump at the time, a beautiful lady appears to me and tells me to pray the rosary, encourage others to pray the rosary, call sinners to repentance. So you have that going on. The family wishes it would go away. The church authorities wish it would go away. The parish priest, the pastor, as well as the local bishop, they're initially skeptical. They're living under a government in France that is anti-religious and anti-clerical. And they know there's going to be serious blowback if it's shown that Bernadette is a fraud or is hallucinating. So they know they're going to face loss of credibility, and it's going to lead to the loss of faith by the laity. In fact, the parish priest says basically there are only 3 options. Either she's a liar, lunatic, or she is the rarest of all mortal creatures. Then you have the government officials. The local officials, they are anti-religious. One of the characters, played by Vincent Price, who later goes on and becomes kind of the second career in all these horror films in the 50s and 60s and 70s. He plays basically the prosecuting attorney. And he basically says when religion advances, humanity moves backwards. So he is basically by hook or by crook to squash all of this stuff. Also, you notice that the government officials, they're the well-educated elites. There's a big class distinction. They view the common people with contempt, particularly Price's character. They're superstitious fools who we have to look out for them because they just don't know what's good for them. In fact, one of the officials says, "Can you imagine such things happening in the 19th century? This is just ridiculous." So they're filled with arrogance, and their pride blinds them to what's going on. But God's grace is relentless. Bernadette's innocence proves to be effectively disarming. When she is questioned or at times basically interrogated, her responses are simple and straight to the point. She basically tells people, look, I'm not here to convince you. I'm simply here to tell you what the lady told me. And so I have. And you can either accept it or to reject it. Against we're shown those that are judged in the eyes of the world to be weak and unimportant are chosen by God to shame the strong and to reveal the truth and call all of us to conversion. The miraculous healings that take place cannot be explained by medical science. Where the visions have been happening, a spring of water has now emerged. And this causes the doubters and the skeptics to begin to question their assumptions and their biases. One of the first healings that takes place is a toddler who's near death, and in the middle of the night, in the darkness of the night, one of the priests is called to give last rites. He's come to the home. The mother, in desperation, scoops up the child, runs to where the spring is, immerses her child in it, and the child is healed. The doctors are baffled. And the parents, and by this time it is day, the parents then turn to the priest and they say, Father, what happened? And all they will say is, when I came here, it was very dark. Now it is not. We're seeing that light of truth, that light that emerges. Because God's grace is relentless. It challenges our biases, it challenges our assumptions, challenges our pride, our arrogance, so that we can walk fully in the light of Christ. The Song of Bernadette has a running time of about 2.5 hours, a bit longer than films that we normally expect today. It is in black and white and is listed as one of the top 10 films of the National Board of Review of Motion Pictures. It's rated G and family friendly, so for those of you with young children, you're not going to have to hit the pause button or the mute button or fast forward through anything. You can watch it certainly as a family. It's available on DVD, Blu-ray, and YouTube. So enjoy the film, and God bless you, and keep you safe.